Mr. Collie McFadging. He's here to talk all things movies. Good morning, Collie.
Good morning, Rory. Always a pleasure to be here. And actually,
Liar.
Not always, but it is today, definitely, because I know we've good stuff to talk to. And not to mention, as I came into from Bundoran into Letterkenny, the sun came out. I'd forgotten it existed, but hopefully it'll stay around. But even if it doesn't, don't we have loads of great movies to talk about? And maybe at some stage we might talk about one you didn't think was quite so great. But we'll see how we go. But it is so we've had the Easter holidays, and of course that was dominated by Migration and Kung Fu Panda and all the stuff for the little kids, and then we had Ghostbusters and Godzilla, all the big school blockbusters. And now we've a couple of weeks of kind of slightly more grown-up movies. Probably starting with the big one this week. Will we go straight into Back to Black,
yeah.
And what is unusual here in this situation, usually I come and I try and persuade you to go to various movies and try and talk you around. But I happen to know you saw this one. And even if I hadn't known you saw it, even if I hadn't met you last night, Rory, the fact that you played the Shangri-Las on the way up, I was driving up in the car and I was listening and I went, there's no way that was on the playlist last night. I'm sure you do your homework and you have everything ready, and then you heard
I was sitting there and goes, I'm playing that tomorrow.
I'm playing that tomorrow. Because, and this is what can be brilliant about a movie. You've heard that song so many times, and suddenly the way it's done in the movie, it's like you've heard it again for the first time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's great, and I think that's one of the things that comes across well in the movie. Now I'll say my bit, and then I'll see if you agree. Is it gets across, look, the excitement of music. Before we get into the sad part of the story of Amy Winehouse, there's a lot about just how exciting she was, and even though her style was slightly retro, to have it in her voice and using language, and some language that you wouldn't play on Highland radio at this time of the day, but with the mix of the classic Tony Bennett sort of music and all that sort of stuff, just really was shocking is the wrong word, but it was so surprising. It got you out of your seat and you went, wow, I haven't heard anything like that before. And even the way Blake sings the Shangri-Las in the pub, it's the same thing. You go, this is a song that, I find it hard to believe Amy Winehouse didn't know it, but even if she didn't...
Yeah, that raised a few eyebrows. I can see people going, really?
That's the one bit. But also, it's a song that's 45 years old at that stage when he's playing it in the pub, or about that, right? And how exciting an old song can still be. Look, it's what Rewind does. Even I was really surprised today to find out how many of the words of Xanadu by Olivia Newton-John I knew. But that's for me and my therapist. But... that all, just how exciting. And she shook it up. And I like the Spice Girls, but the bit where she goes, I ain't no Spice Girl, this is who I am, this is all the stuff. And it was just brilliant and exciting, and the power of music and how a new voice can shock you out. But also how young she was. How, and we forgot that because she was so brilliant on stage.
That is so easy. We were saying, it's so easy to forget just how young she actually was. She carried herself as someone a lot more mature and a lot older. Her singing voice made her sound like someone who was long. I mean, she was only in her early 20s when she started out. She was 27
when she died. And such a lived life, because there are people, I'm a huge Carole King fan, and Carole King took influence out from her life, but she also could knock out a tune up on the roof, kind of get an influence and go bang to bang bang. I think in the film she says, I'm not Cole Porter. She has to have lived a life. And one of my favourite things on YouTube, Rory, is reaction videos. I don't know why I love them. And I love Sinead O'Connor ones, because I think Sinead O'Connor was also someone who never could sing a song just do it by the numbers. She had to live it. You would see it in her eyes. Most famously, Nothing Compares to You. But anything she did, you go, wow, she lives it every time. And Amy Winehouse was the same. And when she wrote a song about her heart being broken, you could see when she sang it again, her heart broke all over again, which is why she was brilliant. And that's why maybe we all should have been kinder to her. It should have been better to her. And I don't know about you, but I've said this to a few other people as well, I felt a little bit complicit, because I know for a fact I laughed at the jokes on, in chat shows and stuff like that. Oh yeah, it's a bit of Amy Winehouse, and laughing at this young girl. And I probably didn't realise, thinking the time, how vulnerable, how young she was, and we're all making her the butt of jokes because she's had a few drinks, whereas it's brilliant when it's Keith Richards. But her, we all laugh at, instead of, I'm not saying we should all be snowflakes all the time, but maybe have a thought, because all of us know people like that. A lot of us have lived through things like that, and I think the film is a softer version of the story, isn't it? It kind of gives...
Yeah, I think it is. It doesn't delve too deep into the harsher
it doesn't linger over
the darker elements.
I think that's probably for
it doesn't avoid them either. Mind you, it doesn't avoid them.
But I think it says, like, we see her. There's a lovely scene, a heart-rending scene where she's in the off license and the little girl meets her and she gives the autograph, but you can see she's got the shakes.
Yeah,
but.
And that really shows the vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, and the human
side of it. Yeah. And, you know, she's her makeup on, but not as good as normally because she's not in a great way.
Yeah.
But they show that scene, but they don't feel that other filmmakers would have shown that scene 6 times to go, look how miserable she is. Look how so there's no linger in the misery. Yeah. We get it. We know how it ends. There's no need to
dwell on it.
Dwell is the perfect word I was looking for. And instead, where they dwell on is the talent and the brilliance and the fact that, you know, I'm sure you'll be doing this for a long time, or you're only a young fella, but when Rewind is on in 40 years' time, they will still play Amy Winehouse, but some kid will listen to it and go, who's that? Where can I get it? Can I go and see her?
Yeah.
Because the sound is timeless. Certain things, when you played Eddie Cochran today, I thought of that too.
Yeah.
That is still rock and roll,
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is still, it's punk rock.
Yeah.
That is still, it still works. And you know, Eddie Cochran was who Paul McCartney played to John Lennon, and he played him that, and that's when John Lennon invited him to join the band.
Did not know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Did not know that.
There you go. It's been a trivia. It's still rock and roll, and Amy Winehouse is still rock and roll. I think it's really good. I think people will enjoy it. And would you think even, look, whether you know, most people know the story. People are around in our age, and a lot of people listen to the show there. But I know some people were saying that, you know, kids who didn't really know her story that well are still intrigued. But I think even if you weren't a big Amy Winehouse fan, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this movie.
Oh, there is. There is, absolutely. You know, and you know, in ways it's an easy watch, and you know the running time it's 90 minutes just over. You know, and what I find, what jumped the way the story's told, the way it's filmed, the way it's structured, it plays out very much like a limited series you would get on Netflix. You can see distinctly how it could be broken up into 4
chapters of her life.
Yeah.
And kind of before fame, when she meets Blake, when she breaks up for Blake. Although I must admit, when you see these things, when she breaks up with her husband and all that, and then they play the song, you go, I've heard that song 20 times, and it's literally what happened.
Yeah,
it is literally, and she's one of those writers. There's no poetic license there. You go, he went back to her, and she went back to Blake, and you go, wow, okay, it was good, really interesting, and I've been listening to a lot of Amy Winehouse since, and that's probably what says it. So it's definitely 2 thumbs up from me.
Yeah, and me, absolutely, yeah. Very much so, very much so. Right, okay, we're going to take a very quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk...
Let's talk Challengers, will we?
Challengers, okay, we'll do that right after this break.
Don't miss the BAFTA award-winning comedian Michael McIntyre's brand new show Magnificent at the SSE Arena Belfast on Friday the 31st of May 2024. As always, Highland Radio make it easy for you as we look after all your needs. We will provide luxury transfers, overnight stay at the Clayton Hotel Belfast on a B&B basis, your ticket to the show, shopping time in Belfast City Centre. For more information, go to the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Michael McIntyre in Belfast.
Craving a taste of bliss by the water? The Water's Edge in Rathmullen. Join us from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily and sample our delicious new breakfast menu. We also have a daily lunch special from 12 p.m. Or why not sample our dinner menu from 4 p.m. The Water's Edge Rathmullen, where tranquility and good food come together. Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Mark here from Highland Motors with an invite to our Citroen Van Showcase, which is on next week. If you're an electrician or a plumber, a delivery driver or a company director, we have a van to suit you. Our full range will be available for test drives. including our car-derived vans, with all the comfort of a passenger car and all the space of a van. That's next week, Monday the 15th to Saturday the 20th, at Highland Motors, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Time is 11 minutes to midday, and we have lots to get through. I'm joined in studio by Collie McFadden. We are talking all things movies, and we're moving on next to...
We'll talk about challenges, as long as I've just slightly worried that the live streaming, when you go to the ad break, still kept on, because we're about to be sued by Adam Sandler's people. If
No.
if that's the case. Let's talk a little bit about challengers. And one of the reasons is, right, so when we were at the screening last night, Rory, there was a couple of trailers played, and I was standing beside the managers of the cinema who hadn't seen the trailer to Challengers, and I just turned around to them after the trailer and went, and that, my friends, is how you make a trailer. And this is the new... I'm going to mention tennis, and people are going to go, yeah, sexy tennis movie. I don't think so. I saw the Wimbledon movie. It wasn't good. It was Zendaya, who's a huge star, and Josh O'Connor, who played the young Prince Charles in The Crown, so it would have a following, so on. And it's a story about a young tennis prodigy, Zendaya, and she has an injury and can't play anymore, but two of the leading men's challengers ask her to coach them, and it kind of becomes a love triangle. And one of the reasons that I want to mention, because it's 2 weeks away and I haven't seen it, and what I loved about the trailer we watched last night, it made it really exciting. You can see that there's more than coaching going on between all three of them, but it really, you don't know what the movie is about at the same time. It was a trailer that made you want to see the movie without knowing everything. Well, yeah, you know what I mean? But I'm giving away...
Can I be honest? Can I be totally honest with you, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get a smack in the mouth for saying this. When that trailer came on and I saw it's about tennis, mentally switched off. Completely switched off.
Well, you see, that's...
And you're talking about that's how you make a trailer.
Yeah.
And I just went...
No. Well,
I don't know what you're talking about, because I totally switched off. I remember the trailer starting.
Well, that's good. I'm really glad you said that, because my point is that I feel movie about tennis... people have switched off, and true enough, if you switch off at the start of it, but I felt by the end of the trailer you could see it's about many things, it ain't about tennis.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that is my point. But
the only thing that jumped out at me goes, oh, there's your man from The Crown.
Yeah, well, there you go. You didn't look at Zendaya. Well, I suppose you were with your partner, that's why you're a smart man, and that's why I'm a single man. But you would have to be as blind as an owl not to see that.
Blind
right?
as an owl, yeah.
But one of the things about it is that it's interesting, right? So it's 2 weeks away, and they released all the reviews yesterday. They never do that unless they're sure it's a hit.
Oh,
and
right, okay.
5 stars everywhere.
Right.
Now, it'd be an adult movie, but she has a huge teen following on Instagram and so on. And she's a really good actress. She was in Spider-Man and all that sort of stuff. And the TV show Euphoria as well. And I think this is going to be a big hit. And I just wanted to really mention it as well, because we're going to talk a lot about sequels. We're going to talk about remakes a lot over the next couple of months. It's an original story, and I always like to plug those. I think when we come back next month, this is one of the ones I'm going to say, told you.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, and tennis is as boring as you say it is, please feel free to say, I told you so.
I don't think tennis is boring. I just think a tennis movie. But if what you're saying is correct, and it ain't about tennis, fair enough. Okay.
A big if. But one pretty certain we'll both agree on is The Fall Guy. Now, Rory, I know you love your 80s stuff, but you probably don't remember the TV show. Would that be right?
No.
So it starred Lee Majors, who was my hero from The $6 Million Man, right? That's where he made his... But his next show was The Fall Guy, and the idea was he was a stuntman who then was also a bounty hunter on the side, and they threw in there was always loads of cameos from TV stars and so on, and it had a cracking soundtrack that I actually listened to this morning just to bring it back. And I think Lee Majors actually sang it, but it was a great story, a great time, and it was been ripe for a Hollywood remake. But you kind of go, they'll just ruin it the way they ruined all the other TV remakes, Bewitched and all those.
Is this going to be done in the vein of like Baywatch, where it's done as a
kind of
daft,
ironic,
goofy comedy? Tongue in cheek, poking fun of itself.
And it seems not. It is really funny. apparently they've had early reviews. It is really funny, but they've made it as an original story, just getting the same idea, and it's Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and they're not going to go with any old junk at this stage of their career because they're doing really well. And Ryan Gosling is the stuntman in it. And one of the things that I find exciting about it, I know for a fact that they said, if we're going to make a movie about stuntmen, we've got to do the stunts, and we've got to do the stunts in real life. And okay, they still use computer graphics, but they use computer graphics to get out the safety lines. But they're still doing the physical stunts and so on. And they said, if we're going to make this movie, make that. And it's an old-fashioned, funny, rom-com action movie. And we haven't had a really good one of those for a while. And all the indications are they've moved it forward because they went, this is going to be a big hit. And I think it's
That's always a good indication when they're bringing stuff forward in the schedule. Yeah.
And I really think it is one of those that it's kind of, you know, like Indiana Jones at its best. It's going to be like bringing the whole family. Everyone can find something to enjoy about it. Bit of romantic banter, great stunts, funny stories, genuinely good one-liners, and also some really good actors like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are both, you know, be nominated for Oscars. We can also do the knockabout fun Hollywood stuff as well. As you saw, like, you know, even people who didn't like Barbie, I think most people went, Ryan Gosling as Ken was so funny and so clever. And you could see him at the Oscars when he performed live and did the song. You go, man knows what he's doing.
And I think you're quite right. At the point that they're at in their careers at the moment, they're not going to just do anything. Just because a script lands on their desk, they're not just going to do it.
They don't need just the money, you know, that sort of stuff. And do an all knockoff. So I think this looks really good and really fun.
So I think that's in theaters.
The Maybank holiday weekend, and I think it's perfect timing for it.
Great stuff. So that's the Fall Guy Maybank holiday. So we'll be talking about that next month, most definitely.
That and Challengers. Sexy tennis.
Okay. Let's talk about what's in theaters at the moment. So we have... Go
on, get Ghostbusters off your chest.
All right.
We know you want to talk about it.
I was really excited about this movie, right? Really, really excited. You know how excited I was. I made no secret of it. I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed. I don't know why I'm surprised that I was disappointed, but I was disappointed. Do you know what? It wasn't a really bad movie. It wasn't a terrible movie. They just tried to do way too much in too short of a running time, and they tried to give... It was just really cluttered and full of pointless side stories just for the sake of giving... characters screen, giving them something to do, giving everybody screen time, bringing everybody back, giving them all something to do, and there was very little resolution to any of the side stories, and it just was a mess.
And funny, I think the only good side story was actually about the ghost and the girls bonding, and probably the character that people
didn't get time to breathe.
Didn't care about. But that was a clever idea.
It was,
the idea of who the Ghostbuster being friend with the ghost is actually a clever idea, and you could build a movie around that and have a bit more depth.
That had potential, but they didn't give it enough space or time to breathe, so it sort of felt
and you knew
flat.
Exactly how it was going to resolve, and not that it should be a cliffhanger or a twist in a Ghostbuster movie. Now, I think you're right in one way. I wasn't disappointed about it because I went in expecting to be disappointed, so I quite enjoyed it. And I think it is like the Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls for a lot of people. It's not that it's a bad movie, it's just a bad Indiana Jones movie. And I think if you're 10, that's probably still quite a fun movie. Ghostbusters is still
absolutely.
okay.
And we need to forget, I'm in my 30s.
Yep.
You're
late 20s.
Okay.
Very late 20s.
So we're probably past the demographic that this, they're made for. And
that's it. Yeah. And they haven't grown up. I think I told you that I went to Ghostbusters for my confirmation. That's how old I am.
That show, Very quickly, we have 30 seconds left. Star Wars.
It's 25 years since The Phantom Menace. Yeah. It's amazing. 25 years, and I'm excited to see it. Even though now we're talking about a disappointment. That was my biggest disappointment. But as the years have gone by, there's a lot to like in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of funness. I think.
It was just because I was expecting Star Wars. Yeah. And it wasn't ever going to be Star Wars. But now, actually, as the times go by, there's loads of fun. The pod race alone is worth going to see again.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing it with an open mind. And maybe... to reapproach again, and it's it's playing May the 4th. I'm always happy to see a Star Wars movie on May the 4th.
And it's 1 week only, right?
1 week only, and then it's gone.
And then it's gone. All right, Collie, thanks so much for joining us again this morning. We will talk to you next month. Lots to digest there. And we'll review what we've been talking about next month. And we're coming into summer blockbuster season now.
Yeah,
so
mega movies.
Loads to talk about. So, Collie McFadden, thank you very, very much indeed. And that's where we wrap things up for this morning's show as well. Thanks to everyone who got in touch with the programme.